brought to you by Patriot Mobile, the phone service of America's Freedom Tribute. Use code AFT for your first month free. Welcome back. I'm Dorina Federici, and this is Let's Talk About Veterans. Today's guest comes from a family where service wasn't just something they talked about, it was a way of life. His mother served in the United States Marine Corps. His father served in the United States Army, and his brother served in the United States Air Force during the Vietnam War. That proud tradition continued into the next generation when his own son answered the call to serve in the United States Air Force. And our guest chose a life of service as well. He dedicated his career to protecting his community as a police officer, eventually retiring after years of wearing the badge. Military service, law enforcement, family, sacrifice, and a commitment to others run through generations of this remarkable family. Again, I'm Dorina Federici. This is Let's Talk About Veterans, and we believe every story of service deserves to be heard. Today, we have the privilege of hearing his story. So please join me in welcoming our very special guest, Tom Pentalow. Hey, Tom.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Excited?
Thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes.
I was the last choice, right?
You were my only choice. I was just lazy. I didn't get to it very fast.
That's okay.
So you have a great story, even your mom. If you can tell us a little bit about your mom and your dad and their service.
Well, growing up, we heard about them meeting in New York City. My
Really?
mom, after the military service, and they both worked in high-class restaurants in New York City, and Waldorf Astoria.
Oh.
So my mom knew all the mobsters back then,
Yeah.
and she talked about it all the time. And then one day I heard a term when I was a kid, BAM. My dad called her a BAM, and I'm like, what is a BAM? And I got old enough. My mom said, well, there was a couple terms for that. It was big-ass Marine or broad-ass Marine. And her service was wonderful because she loved the Marine Corps. She's on the World War II for women down at in D.C.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
She put in 30 years after that, she put in 30 years as working for the veterans.
Oh.
So she worked at Veterans Hospital in Newington, and then she started traveling to try to, women didn't, back then they didn't move up too fast, especially in the service industry. And so she took a job in Canandaigua, New York, and then she went up to Ohio, and then she eventually went to a hospital she went to Dallas, Texas, then to Florida. And the funny thing about Dallas, Texas, my mom met Roger Staubach.
Oh, wow.
At the hospital.
Yeah.
And she calls me, she goes, okay, I'm no longer a Giants fan. I said, what? She goes, I met Roger Staubach. He's hot, he's really good to veterans, and I'm going to be a Cowboy fan. I said, then you're dead to me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, so my mom was like that, and she had me volunteer at Veterans Hospital in Newington at 14 as like a candy striper.
Right, yeah, no, right.
Yeah, that's right. I remember back then going up there, and these guys, old veterans, because you could smoke on the wards back then.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the stomas, and they're smoking through
there.
for being a young kid going,
Oh my God,
like,
what are they doing?
So that was a little traumatizing, but then I realized what they had put their time in. They let them do that. So my dad, Army, got a little messed up over there. I think he hurt himself. When he passed, there was awards, there was stuff there. My mom had the Marine Corps came out and did the salute and stuff like that with the guns, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And they're both at the military in Newington, the cemetery. Yeah. So I try to go there as much as I can to clean it off, to make it look good, because if I don't think anybody else will at this point. So but.
Well, and you decided, your brother was in.
Yeah, so my brother
too.
Jim, he lives in Florida now. I remember, so I was 9 when he went in. My brother helped my mom out quite a bit. Yeah. So he graduated high school like 3 years late, because he worked full time, just like I did. So he helped mom do everything. And he went into service just to get away, And 1970 he went in the Air Force. He did real well. He was the first one, I think, in my family that got an education. He got married, had a daughter in England, Jennifer now is, 1970 something. She was born, so
Yeah.
she's older. He's got 2 other kids after that, which are close to mine. So same wife. He just took a little break and had another couple. He wound up getting his bachelor's degree before anybody else. Then he got his master's in theology, so as a minister. So.
Oh, that's nice.
But he's an accountant, whatever,
Right.
you know. He did really well. I know he was and he went. My son went there too, Lackland Air Force Base. I remember that. They both went there. I went there to visit my son.
Where's that located?
It's in Texas. That's
Texas.
usually, I think that's the Air Force,
It's there.
training ground for
Right.
there. Then he went. I know he went overseas. He wasn't in the conflict. He actually was probably one of the smarter ones. He always thought everybody thought he was dumb. That's what he tells me. I never thought that because he just missed a lot of school,
Yeah.
taking care of mom, taking care of the family. We had 5. I had 3 sisters and my brother and I. My sister was the oldest, and there was 14 years between me and my sister. So my sisters really gave everything they had just to help their own people. But we grew up poor, just like everybody else. But you didn't know you
didn't know
were
the
poor.
difference.
No,
No,
you didn't know you were poor.
You didn't know.
No.
No, you didn't know at all.
Nope.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to hear you talk about your mom being in the Marines, World War II. Right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting to hear that.
You don't hear it.
You know, you
No.
don't.
Nope.
You don't. Especially a Marine, I think, kind of throws me off too, because you just assumed for
Yeah.
a while they didn't have any woman or whatever, you know.
She was a tough lady. I mean, it was funny because she got older. I got bigger, and she still had a heavy hand. It was funny because she'd start hitting me, and I'd have my head down, and she'd go, "Are you laughing, you little?" So my mom was
Sure
really
there's no
great.
Italian in
She was,
there?
huh?
I'm sure there's no Italian in
No,
there.
no. My mom was French and Irish, and
you go.
right from her dad and mom, right from Ireland.
Wow.
And my wife is from England. She's first generation. My kids are first generation from their mom.
Yeah.
So they can become English citizens. I can become Irish citizen.
Really?
Because of my grandparents. Yep.
Wow.
So, but anyways, my mom was definitely a character, and she had signed me up in 1979, 80 to go in the Marine Corps, and I was excited. I really was. And I met Jackie, and you met my wife, and anybody sees my wife realizes why I stayed. We got married in 1985. We started dating in 1980. So I didn't go in, but I went into service 1981. I became a part-time, they were called auxiliary officers in Newington.
Okay.
And then I became a supernumerary there. And then I got hired here, and I got hired in 83, 84 for Weathersfield PD.
Right.
And I love the town. I've been here ever since.
Yeah.
I could go on with stories and stories, but I don't know where we want to go with
Yeah.
it. Right?
Yeah. Well, how did you like being here in Weathersfield as a police officer? How was it for you?
I think it was better for me because I got in some trouble growing up, where some people see me go, "Wow, you're a cop."
Yeah.
And it's easier to do it in another town, not the town you grew up in.
Right.
But I liked it. There was some years it was more difficult. I think back then they didn't work on mental health at all.
Yeah.
So some of the things you see right off the bat, they tell you just suck it up.
Yeah.
And it's really nowadays I'm on a tear to help. There's a book called Journey to Midnight by Matt Griffin. I got involved with that. He wrote a book about suicide. He was about to commit suicide, and he didn't. And the moment that one of his friends called him on St. Patrick's Day and said, "I love you, Griff," it threw him off. And
Yeah.
he thought, well, if today's a good day to die, tomorrow's a good day to die. So he was a military guy. He saw a lot of stuff in the military. He saw a lot of stuff in police. And again, he's younger than I am by probably 20 years.
Wow.
And I think now they're starting to focus on mental health. And
Yeah.
that's how I got involved. I got him on several podcasts, and we wound up going to meet Marcus Luttrell
Oh, okay.
on Team Never Quit.
Yeah.
And what a great guy. And if you haven't looked into military with the Ibergain, have you looked into that?
I
What
have
Ibergain? Ibergain helps out. It's really helping out military people. It's called Waves to War on Netflix. And if you
I
get
did
it,
see that.
yeah.
I did see that. That's the one where they go to
Mexico,
Mexico.
yep.
I did see that. That's right.
So Marcus explained it to us. So my friend Griff just
go
did
there?
it. He
Did he?
just did it. He said, "Tom, my life's changed." And it's funny because I'm speaking with after the podcast with Marcus, and he said to me, "Man, I haven't had a drink. I haven't had any drugs." He said, "You know what I became?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I became a Catholic." And he acted like I wouldn't know what it was, but down in the Bible Belt of Texas when I was there, I knew exactly what it was. So that's what I've been trying to do. I've helped out several people that have some. I think it's easier to talk to a policeman, a retired policeman, than somebody in the field of social work that wasn't a policeman. Thought about going back to school again. I got my degree at 60. I thought about going back for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know because it started affecting me a little bit too. You start feeling a little bit like you bring up stuff that you sort of. I've been really good with it, but sometimes you start feeling it yourself. And people go, "Oh, you worked in a small town, Wethersfield."
That doesn't matter.
I've heard people say one of our guys went and got diagnosed with PTSD, and the funny thing is, I always denied that myself. And the guy that I was talking with said, "Well, you just told me about 5 stories, and you told them so nonchalantly. And he said, "They involved death. They involved maim. When you talk about it, well, that was the way we coped with it. When you see something, you sort of, the only way you could cope with it is just I was humor. Mine was humor,
Right.
So I didn't do it in front of families. There was no, I always sympathize, empathize, but the way I had to deal with it is the story later was you try to put a spin on of a comedy,
Yeah.
But death is death.
It is.
And
It is.
whether it be, just an old person or a young person or a car accident or gunshot wounds, I saw a number of those. And I was lucky. I had a lot of things in town that the opportunities were for me. So one of the greatest jobs I had, I was a dare officer. I was a juvenile officer.
Yeah.
I got to reach young kids that I felt could have been like me. I was one step away from going to jail. I was never a criminal, but I was always out in front.
in trouble.
Just
Yeah.
dare me to do something, and I
And you
did
did
it. So I have a kid that works for me now. Kid just turned 50. And he was from town, and his family got in a lot of trouble, and he went to jail.
Wow.
He did 24 years on a conspiracy charge, which is absolutely crazy. If you looked up his case, he wrote a book called Going Down the Rabbit Hole. In prison, he got 2 degrees and wrote a book.
Wow.
So he's an exception.
Right.
So he works for me now on one of my part-time businesses, and his integrity is unbelievable, and he taught himself. So I believe there's a second chance.
I was going to say that
Yeah.
that's a great story to hear because we don't think of that.
No.
There
And
is that.
as a policeman, you take a lot of. You're having him work for you, and yeah, I did because I gave him a shot, and I would never turn back on it now. It's been out 2 years, and he runs a podcast called The Capitalist Corner on YouTube with Mark Pellegrino, the actor.
Wow.
And so he's moved up,
He's
and
doing it.
yeah, he's never going to go back to jail. Everybody says the recidivism rate is very, very high for somebody who's been in jail that long.
To go back
But,
in.
yeah.
End up back in.
But he knows. He's like, no, it's
Doesn't
not going
want
to
to do
happen
that.
now.
Because he turned it around while he was in
Right.
there.
Right. And I do believe that point there is that some young kids, I think we need to get these kids back into the military. We need to feed the military. And, people are probably going to hate this conversation, but I do believe that we could have the draft.
Yeah.
I think just a 2-year, give to your country, learn about your country.
Right. Well, I know, like in Italy, my parents are from Italy. My husband was from Italy, and my father had to do it too. You had to do when you got out of school. The boys had to do 2 years of military.
Yep.
So my father did it. My husband did it. You had to do 2 years. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but you had to do 2 years of military.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
I know even some of the countries, if you are not a citizen here and you came here to live, or you became a citizen here, they still expect you to come back
And do your thing.
And do your
Yep.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So
they do.
I'm not opposed to that. Some kids maybe not. I think the difference is, you know, I lived with my sister for a while, and then I lived on my own as a really young teenager, and I think you have to grow up fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at the kids now. I don't think they don't grow up as fast. You know, I think there's the 20-year-old when you and I were 20 compared to the 20-year-old now is like they're 32.
Yeah. It is. It's different, and it's I don't know. It's just maybe every generation says that. I don't know. It's not like when I grew up. I don't know, but it is hard to see, and a lot of them don't know what they want to do. I know my younger two went to the military. It was the best thing for them.
Yep.
It worked out. I mean, granted, they ended up in Iraq, but they came home, everything. But, it was something that they did.
Well, as a parent, you had to be nervous.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being, even my son, just in the Air Force.
Yeah.
I was like, I was nervous for him, you know. And my oldest, who's more of a politician, he was a councilman before I was.
Right.
The joke was they asked me to do it. I said, no, why don't you take a younger, better-looking Pentalow? And he was thinking about becoming a policeman. And it's nothing against police work at all. He just has a very analytical mind, which is great police work. But I felt like there was so much more potential. Right. And I did stifle it a little bit. But he's the kind of kid that I think could go much farther. And again, I'm not putting down police work. Right. I know it sounds like I am, but I'm not. There's great sides to police work and the military, but there's also those downsides nobody wants to talk about. Right. And right now, what you're doing for military, for me, that's why I want to be on, is we have to focus on the young and the old that haven't been recognized, that can be reached on a podcast like this, right. Where maybe I come back and we get some numbers for people that could reach out to speak to, because like you said, you had a guy on that never really get to reveal it.
He never got to, Vietnam vet, and he didn't know me. It's not like he was comfortable with me because he knew me for years. First time he met me was sitting in that seat, and it was like we just talked.
Right.
We just talked.
Right. And Anthony Abruzzi, he came up from Florida for your tribute. And, I'm talking, he starts crying in the audience. I'm like, that guy never cries. Well, he does, but he's a very sensitive guy. But he still talks about the stuff that messed him up. And he's 78 years old. Yeah. So that's a good indication that we're not doing the best as a country for our veterans. And I still believe we're not.
No, I don't think we are either.
I think if you serve in the military for a certain amount of years, it's got to be a certain amount of years. Right. So the 4 years is probably the cutoff. Whether you see combat or not, right. I think the medical, just like Medicare, all this Medicare for everybody, that shouldn't be an option. Mm-hmm. That's what you get when we need it, and we should put money into that. Yeah. I think if they need mental health from what they learned over there, or it turned them, I think that should be taken care of too.
Right. One thing that I noticed when my boys came home from Iraq, especially my Marine, you go to and again, this is nothing against the VA, but you go to the VA, and it was automatically, take this, take this, take that. And I got mad. I'm like, you don't need that stuff. It was almost like, take this pill, take this pill, take this pill. And I'm like, what are you doing?
My nephew, my nephew, I didn't bring him up. My nephew, my oldest sisters, both sons, Bobby and Billy. Bobby was I want to make sure I get it right, a command master chief in the Navy. Yeah. He went up really high in the Navy. He was like the #1 recruiter for, and we were talking about that one day. He said, before he got out, he was, they just kept, oh, you got that ache? Oh, we'll fix it. We'll give you that medicine. He said, my mom and dad, when they got older, the VA just I had more pills, and when I checked them all, 3 or 4 were like, just to keep them calm. All these pills that, before my dad passed, I think I got them from 27 pills to like 7, because none of them they're just killing your liver,
Right.
killing everything, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mom.
Yeah.
And my nephew, Bobby Whelan, he was like, Uncle Tom, I'm getting off all this.
Yeah.
You know, they had him on Flomax for something. He was only
wow.
a certain, they had him on all these anti-inflammatories and
Right.
stuff like that. And he's a runner, he's everything. So, and Billy, who he was in Navy and Army. He went into both. He
Wow.
couldn't figure out what he
What do you
liked.
want? Yeah.
And Jack and I helped. He lived with us when he was a kid too. Another good kid that's doing real well. So we have it, and we have police work in our family. We have military and service,
Right.
and I'm proud of that. Like I said, my oldest son Patrick, he was young, and he ran for council,
Good for
and
him.
then he ran for state rep against Amy Bello. But you're not going to win in our town as a Republican.
Yeah.
You're just not going to, and that's too bad.
Yep.
But that's okay. You know what?
Yeah.
We want the best for our town,
That's
and
right.
that's
We
why
do.
we're doing it. You know.
We do. And, you know, for those of you out there, what I love about even what Tom is saying, I mean, I've known of Tom being in town. I've known of Tom, and I've seen him in town. But the past probably 7 months or something, I've really gotten to know Tom, and he's really been just really, really supportive of everything I've been doing with veterans, and that meant a lot to me. And what I love about doing these podcasts is that we have had veterans on here, and they've contacted and they're helping them through the VA system to get what they deserve. One of them is helping one of my sons, because sometimes they say, no, no, no. You get frustrated, you leave. But really, they should be helping you. So I'm learning so much from these veterans, and they're out there helping. So that's what I love about this podcast. So please, when you watch these, share them with your friends. Let them see it, because there's so much great knowledge everybody is giving us. And Tom, I want to thank you, because he has been a great, great supporter of everything I've been trying to do. He's fantastic in our town. Everybody knows him. He is on the council. Great thing's going to be coming.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say, but you don't give yourself enough credit either. How much time? And she goes, don't talk about me. You do give a lot, and you know, to give, not expecting anything back, and that's why we give, right? You don't look for anything. But when somebody says, I don't know, it was me, he said, we should put you in for a award, and she, no. It's not about that. It's about getting the message. So understand, you know, accept it, and because it gets the message out farther.
Right.
You know?
And that's what I want to do. I want to get that message out there, because it is dear to my heart for so many reasons. Again, I'm a very lucky mom. You know, I'm a lucky mom to have my boys go through what they did and to be home.
Absolutely.
And my younger one also, after Marines, went down to South Carolina, became a police officer and part of SWAT. Loved every minute of it. That's him, the youngest of 4 boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
make me a gunner on a Humvee. I says, you're a turtle with your head sticking out. Why? Why are you doing that? You know, do something else. But that's just my son. You know, that's the 8 years old. That was his dream. I'm going to be Marine and an officer, and he did it. He followed his dream, and now he's a principal.
Really? Oh, good.
He's a
Where?
principal down in Norwich.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he got his college like it should be. Got everything.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's a great
So,
story right there. You know?
It is.
Have you had them on?
No. They're always like, Mom, nah, Mom, no. I probably
Well,
get
maybe
one
they
of
should
these
watch
days.
this and say,
I know,
get your
right?
ass on
That's
this thing.
right.
Excuse my
Come
language.
on. But anyways, I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate
No,
it
thank
so
you.
very much.
Thank you.
And again, this, if you would like to be on the show, or if you know of someone owns a veterans business, has something they want to give to veterans, first responder, anything you would like to talk about, please get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me at dfederici.aft@gmail.com. And then we have americasfreedomtribute.org. You can go on that website. And on Facebook, it's America's Freedom Tribute. And our YouTube is America's Freedom Tribute -AFT. And you will find all of these. This is actually number 26. I've done 26 podcasts. So
For you.
you can see them all, share them, all of that. So again, this podcast is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. It's the mobile service of America's Freedom Tribute. Just comment AFT to get your first month free. And I want to thank you for listening. Remember, veterans' voices matter today and every day. But please keep all of our troops, all of their families in your thoughts and prayers, and let's pray for them all to be coming home soon. Thank you until next time.